Hello and welcome. I'm James Mallinson from Oxford Investment Consultants, and I'm talking today to Dr. Nick Skaer, the founder, CEO, and research director of Orthox Limited. Nick, perhaps you could tell us a bit about yourself and the background to the formation of Orthox.
Certainly, James. So I did my undergraduate here in Oxford. I then moved to the University of Strasbourg, where I did a PhD in molecular biology. Furthered that work at Cambridge University, looking into several interesting molecules in insects. And that brought me into contact with two scientists back at Oxford, Professor Fritz Vollrath and Dr. David Knight, who were working on silk proteins. And they just formed a spinout company, Oxford Biomaterials, which was looking to commercialize their research on silk proteins. And I was very tempted to join that. I worked with them at Oxford Biomaterials for 5 years, developing several concepts in medical technology for their silk protein applications. The most exciting one of which was in orthopedic tissue repair, specifically cartilage. And I was fortunate enough to be able to form Orthox with an orthopedic surgeon called Oliver Kessler in 2009 by spinning it out from Oxford Biomaterials with the blessing of David and Fritz.
Thanks. Perhaps you could describe the problem that Orthox is trying to solve and Orthox's solution.
Orthox is focused principally on repair of cartilage in the knee. So cartilage is the smooth, stiff, resilient material which covers the ends of bones and allows joints to move and articulate freely. And as we get older and heavier, then the cartilage tends to be damaged and degenerate, and that leads to bone rubbing on bone, which is a painful condition called osteoarthritis. And osteoarthritis ultimately requires joint replacement at the moment to solve the problem. Orthox's solution is a much smaller, much more biological implant based on our silk technology called FibroFix, which is implanted by the surgeon in outpatient procedure, completed in the same day, and which you can rehabilitate on swiftly and get back to normal activities. And it's designed to encourage growth of new tissue from the patient into the implant to supplement the implant's properties and lead to a really effective long-term repair.
Thanks, Nick. And as you touched on there, Orthox's technology is based on silk, but explain why it's such a compelling material for biomedical applications.
So silk is a remarkable natural material. Silks are known for their enormous strength, and when I met Fritz Vollrath and David Knight at Oxford University, they were working on spider silk, which is one of the strongest materials known to man. It's 25 times as tough as high tensile steel, weight for weight, which is truly remarkable for a natural biological protein. But it's also a material which encourages tissue regeneration. If you put cells on it, then they proliferate and grow and deposit new tissue. And when you combine those two remarkable features, then you get a material which is a really unique proposition for repair of cartilage, which is also a strong, stiff, resilient material, but which doesn't heal well of its own accord. And that regenerative capability of silk proteins can lead to that tissue being supported and healing better. And that's really the basis of our technology.
Nick, can you tell us about the opportunity for Orthox, both in the UK and globally?
Cartilage damage leads to the condition osteoarthritis, as I've said, and as many as 90,000 people in the UK every year end up having their knees replaced, which is a very major procedure where a large metal and plastic prosthesis is put into the joint and requires 6 to 12 months to recover from. So if we can postpone a proportion of these patients from having this implant put in, then it could lead to huge cost savings for the NHS, and globally, then the problem and the opportunity is significantly larger still. There's up to $38.5 billion spent in the US every year on knee replacements. And the associated healthcare cost to the economy in the US is estimated at $128 billion a year. So these are truly staggering figures. And if we can impact and disrupt that market that exists with our much less invasive and much easier to implant technology, then I think we'll be leading to major cost savings across the board.
Thanks. Perhaps you could tell us how you funded the business, how much funds you've raised to date, and how much more you think you will require in the near to medium term.
So we've raised about £18 million of funding to date. About half of that is in equity from our investors and convertible debt from the Wellcome Trust, who were our first backers in 2009. The other half is in non-dilutive funding from a wide range of sources. Innovate UK have put nearly £5 million into the business. We've also got money from NIHR, and we've recently secured quite significant funding from the European Union as well. And that will take us into the clinical phase for our technology, FibroFix cartilage. We will then need to look to raise additional cash, and we're currently viewing a Series B raise for 2021, which will be in the order of 8 to 10 million pounds, which should take us through the clinical phase and launch the product on market in the European Union.
Perhaps could you please summarize the key goals for us over the next 12 to 24 months?
Sure. So really, we're on the cusp of entry into the clinic, a very exciting phase for the company. And the goals that we're looking at the moment is wrapping up our preclinical data package, creating our submissions dossiers for entry into the European CE mark clinical study, and then recruiting the first patients to the study and generating the preliminary safety data that we need to open that study up to a wider goal. Ultimately, we'll be looking to recruit 70 patients to our study, and that'll be the formation, the basis for our market approval within Europe.
How are you going to bring to market and sell Orthox's products, and why are people going to want to buy Orthox products?
So the goal is to obtain market approval within Europe first, and then look to partner with distributors to access the wide network of surgeons that will be implanting our products. And to that end, then Orthox has been very active in seeking to engage with the multinational corporations who have those sales networks that we can then leverage. And we were very fortunate in securing an Innovate UK project with the world's largest orthopedics company, Stryker, last year to develop a product with both our technology and their technology. And that's a very exciting development, but it's also something that will foster the sort of relationships that we're looking for to then lead to the distribution of our products once they receive market approval.
Well, Nick, we're in the middle of a global pandemic at the moment. Can you tell us a bit about the impact that COVID-19 has had on the business and your strategy for addressing this?
Orthox is a manufacturing business. We've always prided ourselves on the fact that we're a one-stop shop. We do everything in-house, and that's led to huge know-how within the company. But it obviously, when something like this happens, leads to significant challenges. And we had to shut the premises for a period of 2 months, halt our manufacturing, while we made the site COVID secure, and obviously educated our staff in all of the new practices that will be required at the site. I'm glad to say that we've now been able to reopen the site, and manufacturing has begun again. So that's a real plus. But it's affected many areas of the business, the supply chain. It's affected the testing that we're doing on our products for the preclinical data. And all of that, of course, leads to delays. And the other element is, of course, that it is leading to disruption of capital markets. And we secured a major award from the European Union just at the end of 2019, a 2.5 million euro EIC Accelerator Award to launch our clinical phase, which was a real fillip for the company. And from the back of that, then we were looking to launch our Series B round. And of course, we just launched that at the point when COVID hit. We had to rapidly pivot, and we're now looking to put in a bridgehead finance to enable us to match that large award from the European Union and generate that early clinical data. And I'm pleased to say that we've taken advantage as well of a new instrument put in place by the European Union from a group called the EIT Health, who have launched something called the Startup Rescue Instrument for funding rounds that were interrupted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we've just been selected for a €500,000 investment by them, one of 11 companies from 120 odd applications to be awarded that. And that's a real cornerstone for this bridgehead finance that we're looking to put in place here.
Thanks. Perhaps you could just reflect a little bit on the advantages of being one of the family of Oxford-related spin-out companies.
It's a privilege to be an Oxford spin-out, without a doubt. I think this is probably one of the richest environments in which to take a new technology out from the university and attempt to grow it. It's got such a strong tradition of developing technology companies around here that you've got all of the collateral benefits from that. A superb pool of skilled candidates to come and work in the companies, some very insightful and knowledge and experienced investors to support the companies, And of course, the cachet of being part of Oxford University and with technology from Oxford University. And all of that has been a great pleasure and privilege to work within for the last 15 odd years for me. And I hope continues for a significant period to come.
Thanks, Nick. Perhaps you can tell us something of your vision for Orthox.
Certainly. So, I mean, the great excitement for us at the moment is the potential to take the technology into the ultimate validation, which is clinical study. And if it works in patients, then we've achieved our goal in terms of the technology. That's the huge test for any technology in our sector, is to make patients better. And I think we're very excited about taking that forward in the next year, 2 years. But obviously the goal as a business is much wider and grander than that. The patient data is what will kickstart the business, but the wonderful thing about our technology is the potential for it across the medical sector. And as I've said, we've obviously focused on the knee and the cartilage in the knee, but there are many other joints in the body, hip, shoulder, spine, ankle, where there is osteoarthritis present, and which we could fairly swiftly and rapidly roll our technology out to, thereby hugely broadening the appeal of the company and the potential of the company to generate funds. But even beyond orthopedics, then I think the technology has great application. Anything in which you are looking for strength and resilience, but tissue regeneration, is in the sweet spot for Orthox and FibroFix technology. And I think that really could lead to Orthox becoming a game changer in the biological materials space. And that could be something which one of the big global orthopedic companies, or the big global medical companies more generally, may take a look at in time with clinical validation data behind us and say this is a really attractive opportunity, a really attractive technology and company for us.
Nick, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to following the future success of Orthox.